There was one wealthy businessman. Everything was all right in his life. But he used to constantly lament. So he went to his Guru and said, Gurudev, why do I lament so much? What is the solution? The Gurudev said, look, the solution is to get divine knowledge. I can fix your lamentation. We will sit every day and study the Bhagavad Gita. We will go through the entire 18 chapters. It will take 6 months for 18 chapters. 3 chapters every month. And by the end of it, your lamentation will be fixed. So, he said, Gurudev, I'm in a hurry. Can't you do it more quickly? Gurudev said, all right, give me 15 days. We will go through chapter 18. That will solve your problem. Gurudev, can you do it faster? All right, we will discuss only one verse, but we will continue to discuss for 6 hours. 18.66. Sarvadharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo moksheshyami ma shucha. So he said, Gurudev, this is the age of instant Rapidex English and instant coffee and 3-minute dhyanam. So can't we have some instant enlightenment? Gurudev said, just take this 1/4 of that verse, ma shucha. Don't do shok, don't do lamentation. Shri Krishna repeats this again and again in the Gita. Nanu shochitum arhasi, naivam shochitum arhasi, ma shucha. In fact, he starts his discourse to Arjuna. Agatasun agatasunscha pragyavadanscha bhashate. He says, Nanu shochanti pandita. He says, Arjun, while speaking words of wisdom, you are actually very foolish. Shri Krishna says to Arjuna, he opens his discourse. Though you seem to be speaking like a pandit, you are actually very foolish. Those who are truly enlightened, Nanu shochanti pandita, they never lament. Why do they not lament? Because whenever there is a reversal, they see it as an opportunity to rise higher in their spiritual practice. They take advantage of the obstacle that has come to convert it into a stepping stone and go even higher. When you get bhakti, then what will happen? These things will happen. Shri Krishna says something similar. Yo narishyati nadveshti nashochati nakangshati shubha shubha parityagi yo mad bhakta same priya. That my devotee who is endowed with these qualities is very dear to me. The Naradji is saying the similar thing. Now, Kripaluji Maharaj says, look, Krishna is God and Narad is the avatar of God. So it is natural they are saying similar things. Now, which came first, the Gita or the Narad Bhakti Darshan? The Gita came before Kali Yuga began and Narad Bhakti Darshan came after. So that is why it's possible that Narad has picked up from there. Whatever it is, he is saying that when you get bhakti, na kinchit vanchati, you will not desire material things. Because you have got something far more valuable. One person prayed to Lord Shiv and got a boon from him. Lord Shiv said, all right, beta, what do you want? The person said, Maharaj, if I say give me a gold ring, give me this, give me that, it will finish in limited time. You give me a philosopher's stone, the paras. So I will be able to make gold as much as I want. The Lord Shiv said, Tathastu. All right. You do one thing. Sanatan Goswami resides in Vrindavan chanting the names of God. You go and get it from Sanatan Goswami. He will give it to you. So the man went to Vrindavan, he found where Sanatan Goswami was, and he said, Maharaj, I have heard from Umapati that you have a paras. Can you please give it to me? Sanatan Goswami said, you know that garbage out there, you have to dig into it and you will find the paras. So he went. Now he's starting digging garbage. You know, when they want paras, then they'll dig anything. So digging the garbage, he found the paras. And he was overjoyed. But then he thought that why has this saint rejected the paras and put it in the garbage? So with the paras in his hand, he went to Sanatan Goswami. And he said, Maharaj, I have got this philosopher's stone. Thank you so much. But I have a curiosity. Why had you thrown it in the garbage? Sanatan Goswami said, if you want the answer to your question, you throw it back in the garbage and come. Only then I'll explain to you. There is a qualification required to understand the answer. So he went and threw it back there and came back. Then Sanatan Goswami explained to him the glories of bhakti, which is so much more valuable than one paras stone. So the man realized that somebody who has got bhakti, why will he hanker for paras? Shri Krishna says, Yal labdhva chaparam labham manyate nadhikam tata yasmin sthitona dukkhena guruna pivichalpate. One who achieves that divine bliss thinks, I am the most fortunate person in the world. And in that state, doesn't hanker for anything and doesn't get disturbed, gurunapi vichalpate, even by the biggest miseries. That is because he has achieved something which is so valuable. So Narad says, Yat prapya na kinchid vanchati. Then you will not desire anything material. Na shochati. You will not lament. Like one Mahatma Ji. He stayed in a dharmshala. Now that dharmshala had a lot of mosquitoes. Oh, they were making merry of Mahatma Ji's body. Ganne ka ras and aam ka ras. So at 2 o'clock now, it was very difficult to sleep. Mahatma Ji did Ma Shucha, no lamentation. He said, even the mosquitoes here are paropkari. They are philanthropic. They are benevolent and are helping me. They are saying, why are you sleeping? Get up and do your jap. Kabira suta kya kare? Jago japo murari. Ek din hai sovana lambe paav pasari. Kabir ji says, why are you sleeping? Get up and do your bhajan, because one day you have to sleep a very, very long and deep sleep. So, the Mahatmas see the positivity in every situation. And how do they see the positivity? They utilize the negative situation for their spiritual advantage. The more it is difficult, the more it's an opportunity to increase tolerance, an opportunity to increase patience, forbearance, austerity, etc., etc. That is why Ma Shucha, this message is repeated again and again in the Bhagavad Gita, and Naradji says, you will automatically, you will never lament if you get this bhakti. And then he says, na dveshti. You will not even harbor resentment or hatred for anybody. See, don't be attached. That's one aspect. Even more difficult, Don't harbor any resentment. Why do we harbor resentment? When somebody does something bad to us, then we harbor resentment. Has anybody ever done anything bad to you? Yes, Swamiji. Why? Because this is an imperfect place. People are imperfect. No matter what you do, they will do bad to you as well. You cannot say, I am a good person, so you should not do any bad to me. That is just like saying there's a bull, coming down the street. Everybody is saying, run, run. And one man says, look, I'm a vegetarian, the bull will not hit me. The bull doesn't care whether you are a vegetarian or a vegan or whatever. The bull will do its job. Similarly, there are dusht, there are evil people, there are normal people, there are all kinds of people. So no matter how good you are, people will do bad to you. Now the problem is that if you start harboring resentment, then your mind goes away from God and Guru to the object of resentment. That is the problem. In other words, the bhakti gets finished. Like in attachment, similarly in dvesh, in resentment. Thus, mind is such a thing. Either you keep it in God and Guru, or you let it run. Now the mind is running in lamentation. 3 years ago, my father died. Oh, my father died. Oh, so what will happen? Your mind has gone 3 years in the past. So in the present, the bhakti you were supposed to do is finished. If you want to do bhakti, then cut out the lamentation and get the mind back. And similarly, the mind runs away in resentment. So, oh, this person is very bad, this person is very bad. Now, instead of remembering God and Guru, you are remembering that person. Just like you would remember in attachment, in the same way you are remembering in hatred. So, both attachment and hatred, both of these need to be released if you have to free your mind to do bhakti. And to give up resentment is a bigger obstacle. But all the acharyas have emphasized it. That is why the Bible says, forgive thy enemies. Because actually your mind will become free by forgiving. Somebody said that the Nazis, they put me in those concentration camps and it was so painful. So the other guy said, have you forgiven them as yet? No, I have not forgiven them. He said, then you are still in the concentration camp. Your mind is still fettered with that resentment. So the resentment also has to be released. And how do you release the resentment? Again, by seeing the good in that situation. In other words, somebody is opposing you. Now, why do you feel resentment? My material happiness, my material convenience, it got disrupted by that person. That is why you feel resentment. Now change it. Okay, it got disrupted. It became an opportunity for spiritual progress. So if you change the values, my value is not material convenience. My value is spiritual progress. Then you will say it's a good thing. Somebody is opposing, that's really nice. That is the fastest way to progress. So one pracharika was telling me that she said, Maharajji, I will not go and preach. There is too much of kusang, negative sentiments and opposition. So Maharajji said, Hari, jahan kusang hai, wahan to jarur jao. Where you have negative sentiments amongst the people, definitely go. It will help you cleanse your heart. See, Tulsidas says, what is the way to cleanse your heart? You keep listening to Swamiji's lectures, after 100 lectures it will still not be cleansed. But if you want to do it the fastest way, he says, Nindaka niyare rakhiye, angan kuti chabaya, Nit sabun pani bina nirmal kare subhai. Find a critic, somebody who is exceptionally vituperative and whose words are so cutting and painful. Get that critic in your angan, in your courtyard, put a tilak on his head. In other words, respect him. Go, carry on. And then the more he criticizes, you just, oh, so nice, so nice. Anything further to say? So your heart will be cleansed without soap and without water. In that adverse situation, if you can tolerate, somebody came, Are, Swamiji, I've got this problem, that problem. How do I do sadhana? I said, just tolerate all the problems. That is the best sadhana. Right? So, it is your attitude that will cleanse you. So, when we utilize the situation, because you cannot control situations. What can you control? You can only control your own thoughts. One husband and wife went back to India. Now, when the Indians go back to India, Chacha, Jija, Mama, all of them come. And the family politics is pretty huge, isn't it? So one relative was exceptionally nasty towards the wife. And the wife used to keep complaining to the husband that, this relative naak mein dam kar diya. The husband said that, look, I totally commiserate with your problem. You have a valid point, this person is bad. But I can't do anything about it. This person has the right to be as he is. That is his freedom. I can't change it. But to get affected or not affected, that is your freedom. So the only thing we have control over is our own mind. And that is why negative situations, circumstances will come. You change your attitude and take advantage of it. That is why the proper way of doing it is na dveshti, never resent. Like I always say, resentment is like taking poison and hoping the other guy dies. That guy did something bad, so you are resenting. This guy, I hope something bad happens, lightning falls upon him. But what is happening is the bad thoughts, they are causing your own harm. So you are taking poison and hoping the other guy dies. That is why when you get bhakti, your whole value system is changed. What does it matter, this gain and failure in the world? I have got this huge treasure. And how can I increase it is the goal. So come on, more difficult circumstances. Sri Aurobindo says in his prayer, he says, oh Lord, please don't be lenient with me. Oh Lord, please don't be lenient. If you find any stupidity in any fiber of my being, please take your sword and chop it off. In whichever way I get purified, I am giving you the freedom. Go ahead and do it. Because for me, that purification is the most important. So now that becomes the value system. Hence Naradji says, na dveshti, na ramate, notsahi bhavati. That devotee does not raman, rejoice in the things of the world. In other words, you have a body, you have to eat. Sometimes there's a rasgulla, you eat it. Sometimes there's a sokhi roti, you eat it. But not, that rasgulla doesn't have this flavor in it. Can you please give the other rasgulla? It is not good enough. Then that is the raman. There's one thing to utilize the material objects, and there's another to rejoice in them. So once having got this bhakti, now the devotee doesn't rejoice in the objects of the world and notsahi bhavati. He is not hankering for more, more, more. That is the utsaha. Like the story of Rockefeller, which I said. earlier on. John Rockefeller was the chairman of the Standard Oil Corporation. And he had a business decision to make. Goods of the Standard Oil Corporation had to be transported from Houston to Chicago by railroad. So the decision required was, should I get them insured or not? Insurance would have cost $150. For a millionaire, it was not a big deal. But that utsahi, I want more, I want more. So he said, let's take the risk and send it uninsured. Now the train departed from Houston and he came to know that a storm has developed in the way. So now Rockefeller started sweating, oh my God, penny wise and pound foolish. I'm going to lose tens of thousands of dollars in the process of saving $150. So he decided to use his clout. He was a big business magnate, at that time the richest man in the world. He contacted the insurance corporation. The insurance company had closed their office for the evening. He forced them to open it, and he reached their office because he was their big customer. And by midnight, he walked out of the office with the insurance paper in his hand. However, next morning, he got the news that the train and its goods had reached intact. So when he realized that he has wasted $150 unnecessarily insuring them, he became so upset that for till 2 in the afternoon, he was walking up and down in his office room. That stress of business told on him. And his doctor warned him that if he continued in this manner, he would not live for more than 3 years longer. That was when he changed his lifestyle. So Naradji is saying that, look, all these things, first he said, this will happen. Now he's saying, this will not happen. I travel with 300 drivers every year, right? So they're different natures. A couple of drivers are such, they will keep on abusing all the other drivers. What is the use of abusing them? One child, he went with his father in the morning. And then in the afternoon, he went with his mother. So he said, Mummy, where are all the idiots? Mummy said, what idiots, beta? He said, we went with father and there were 7 idiots we met on the road. Now there are no idiots. So what do? There is no shortage of idiots in the world, isn't it? So why bother about that? This world is as it is. We have to complete our journey. And that is why we should not allow the world to disturb us. So by getting bhakti, you become free of all these. But as a sadhak engaging in bhakti also, it must be your effort to rid your mind of all these traps and not allow these sentiments to come into the mind. So kamana, dvesh, rag, shok, etc., free your mind from that and then engage it in sadhana to get that divine treasure.